Luke, on today's show, we have a Brummie, a Geordie and a Welshman, which is very nearly a choir.
I have to agree.
Hello and welcome to another episode of Britcast. I'm David Birch. I am joined with Mr. Luke Riley, the only man that will come to a podcast wearing a flat cap and a waistcoat.
Good dear. And
also we're joined by a very special guest. He's NBC's game guru. He's a host of Game Traders Invisible Walls. He's the annoyed gamer himself, Mr. Marcus Beer. Welcome to the show.
Thank you very much for having me on a Sunday lunchtime.
Yeah, we brought you on today because me and Luke have been debating over our last couple of shows about where the next gen's going to go, and also looking back on the failings of this current gen. I think we're going to also go across about, like you said, about annoyed gamer, where you said about licensed games falling short and being a complete screw-up on several occasions, and also about how we're looking at the list of games that are due to come out on the next gen and our hopes and dreams for those, if that's all right with yourself.
That works for me.
All right, Luke, you want to take us away?
Yep, I think the first point I want to get across is, Marcus, thanks for joining. Thanks for speaking to me again after a year. It was this time last year. Was podcasting during the time of the Six Nations. We're going that time again. I want to just introduce Dave, my fellow podcaster, and also go into the first story, which is the Sony reveal 20th of Feb, and what we might be getting from that.
PS4.
Yes.
That's the big one, isn't it? I mean, I'm lucky enough to be going. I leave on Tuesday, and I'm going to be there with Game Trailers, recording some pre and post shows, and I'm going to be able to sit through the entire thing. And honestly, I think the first thing I'm hoping for is that we get more info than perhaps Destiny showed off on their day and a half PR junket last week. Mm-hmm. Reading the reports this morning, their stuff has been. Adam Sessler summed it up when he said he felt he'd been invited to a corporate Kickstarter launch, and that made me laugh. But I hope that Sony have basically they've set this date. Everybody's hyped. The videos have been coming. There's been a lot of stuff about the history of PlayStation, and they have a real statement of intent to make. And a lot of people are saying, oh, they'll save till E3 for a lot of stuff. I don't think they need to. I think if they come out now with a whole bunch of stuff on Wednesday, they will have set the marker for E3 that people will be clamoring to get to their booths, because by the time we get to E3, I want to play stuff. Yeah. I don't want to see stuff for the first time. I want and expect to be able to play all those launch titles, and they should be ready. There's a controller in my hand, a final controller. And so this week they've got to basically, yes, the name, the form factor, maybe a projected release date would be nice, a projected price, and then games. Because if I hear the words, set top home entertainment center in the living room, I'm likely to strangle someone.
The phrase Netflix is going to come up, it will.
Oh, well, it's going to be Netflix, Facebook, Foursquare, Vine. You'll be able to now take a picture with your PS4 and post it to Twitter while having a crap from your controller.
See, that's the one thing I'm hoping with this PlayStation thing, that now they've got a new marketing company behind them. I hope this was all their idea, because it was Kazurai said a couple of months back, why go first when your competitors can look at what you're doing? I'm hoping now that this new marketing company's come on board and said, right, PS3, there was a lot of screw-ups there. Now we've got to come out guns blazing with PS4 information. You see, the one bit I disagree with, I don't think we're going to get a release date or price. I think we're actually going to get hype and a build-up and actual Sony marketing. Because let's face it, the last few games that have come out as independent IPs for Sony and PlayStation 3, they've not really been promoted. I mean, you've said it yourself on some of your shows. I think this is a new start for them.
Sorry to interrupt. The thing you got to remember is all they've done is change their ad agency. They haven't changed their marketing strategy. I mean, this is still being run by internal Sony marketing.
Oh, is it?
It's not an ad agency. An ad agency is not going to handle all your marketing and put all that stuff together. I mean, this sort of event is predominantly PR. And I think that's where Sony have been lacking in a long time. They let go a lot of internal PR people and relied on a lot of external agencies. And I think now they've hired a couple of people back again. And now they realize that they have to get things together. I think the advertising for Sony in the last 12 months, ever since the Kevin Butler debacle, has gone down the tubes. I mean, when games like Sly Cooper come out, and it's a fun game. I covered it on my NBC segment yesterday. Is it going to set the world on fire? No, but it's $40. You get the Vita version thrown in for free, and it is a lot of fun. There are a lot worse games out there that get a lot more coverage and marketing. So yeah, they really. That's why they have to prove this is a new start. And I know there are going to be a lot of Japanese purists who will freak out at what I'm going to say next, but they really do need to westernize their approach to marketing.
Yeah.
And really sort of like get out there and push to Europe, push to the US, because PS3 unfortunately is still lagging behind Xbox and Wii in the US. It's just that's a cold hard facts, unfortunately. Even though it's the strongest console standing when it comes to capabilities and probably software right now.
Yeah, and as well with Europe being such a big market for Sony and the PlayStation, over here we hardly get any TV ads for it whatsoever. It's predominantly connect, jump around your living room type of ads and whatever their first-party games are as well. So hopefully there'll be a change in that. I'm more curious about what launch games. I mean, I know on Invisible Wars this week you guys were speculating, but one thing that's been burning with me with the PS4 is, do you reckon we'll see games like PlanetSide migrate over to the console? PlanetSide 2, sorry.
I don't see why not, because you look at the leaked specs that we keep on seeing, and if they are to be believed, it is more off the peg architecture. It's more PC based architecture in a lot of ways. So it would make sense, seeing as they've done it before with a much trickier title on the PS3 with DC Universe Online. It would make sense that there could be something like PlanetSide 2 could be cross-platform, and I think that would be a very, very smart move. Is it the sort of smart move that we think Sony can make? That's the big question. I don't know how well PlanetSide 2 is doing. I know it's got a lot of props with regards to reviews, but yeah, it could be if they can execute it very really quite well and not dumb it down, they could be looking at something very, very nice there.
Yeah, because that's what I was thinking about. We're looking at the next gen of consoles, and me and Lucas spoke before about we're looking at the new hardware and what their capabilities are, but at the same time, the games have got to go through a next generation cycle. Because let's face it, I'm really bored of now shooters, online shooters, man on man, constantly team deathmatch, 15-minute matches, 3 bullets and you're dead. Halo, 5 headshots and you're dead in 15-minute matches and capture the flag. That's what I want to see with this new generation of consoles. The games like PlanetSide 2, Dust 514, Destiny. Even there's been rumours of DayZ potentially making its way over to the next gen, but there's not really many confirmed reports. It's just rumours at the moment. That's what I'm really hoping for with the next gen of consoles, because I get really bored really quickly of some of the titles that come out. I mean, I was talking to Luke about Aliens recently, and I know you mentioned it as well. I've enjoyed the online, playing with my friends, but I've only had it a week, and now I can't really be bothered to put it back in the machine because I've seen all the different game modes, and the maps only offer so much because of the size of them. I need something as a hardcore gamer that's just going to expand and explode. Is that the type of thing you're going to be looking for with this next jump?
Well, I've been looking for that for several years, to be honest with you. I've made no bones about it. I mean, when I was a PR guy, I repped a whole bunch of military shooters. Rainbow Six, Black Hawk Down, Joint Operations, and Ghost Recon. To name 4 franchises. I've been crying out for years for Ghost Recon to go back to its tactical roots, for Rainbow Six to do the same. When I was at Nova Logic and we did Joint Operations, that was a PC game that had 150 people online in any one game. Yeah. Maps were huge. It was teamwork. I mean, it was the precursor. It was a precursor in a lot of ways to what Battlefield became. And I think larger maps, more variety on gameplay, persistent worlds. This is where PlanetSide might come in. Like you said, might come in. As a cool idea. More tactical gameplay. That's the thing. It is, it is so bad now that matchmaking is so bad. They don't match people up to the same level, so you're dumped into anything, any game like 3 or 4 days into launch, and you are going to get absolutely spawn raped over and over and over, and that's no fun. I mean, that was
No.
no fun. There was no fun 10 years ago when I was doing it on the PC, and it's even less fun now when you have the added joy of a 12-year-old, screaming at you and all these other things. So, I mean, I would like to see a new generation of games, a more tactical, grown up, if you will, thoughtful take on shooters. Do I think we're going to get it? Well, I think with the next gen, we'll probably get it for the first 18 months until they hit that mass market penetration, because for the first 18 months, you will see the early adopters, the hardcore early adopters like ourselves who will be lining up to buy them before we go into mass market mode, and then everybody buys them for little Johnny, little Timmy, who are little shitbags. And then they will be screaming abuse on Xbox Live or PSN. So, yes, I think we do need more variety in our shooters. Yeah, I do think we need a lot more thought. Multiplayer has become very generic. That's all it is now, is a bullet point on a box so that marketing can check something off. Co-op has devolved from being something that's an incredibly interesting, challenging, and worthwhile experience to, again, we've got co-op, and then you go and play the aliens level in the sewers, and you find that, guess what, that level isn't really designed for co-op, and boom, everybody's dead inside a second. So it's co-op is more than horde mode. It's more than just you against a bunch of bots, and it's more than just dumping people into a level that hasn't been created for co-op. Really good co-op is that nothing can top it. But that's just, unfortunately, it's few and far between.
Yeah, I was going to say about the aliens thing. Like, when I look at the old demonstrations of the game, like I said to Dave earlier, I would love to be playing that game, what we're showing there. And while the new game does have its shortfalls, my enjoyment of it has been the co-op, because me and my friends on Xbox do like the similar kind of games. But games now, especially with AI and the difficulty they have, like Dave was saying in another podcast, he wants the next gen to have more complex artificial intelligence, instead of high difficulty being more enemies or you die faster and they die with more bullets. The AI being being able to think and to adapt to the situation. But yeah, that you're in, and having their programming to be able to handle that kind of AI in a game.
Well, that's available. I mean, that's available right now and has been, again, for several years. I'm going to take you back to 2005 and Fear.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know if either of you played that, but the AI on that was pretty intelligent.
Was it relentless?
It was smart. They would try and pin you down. Somebody would try and flank you while somebody else was trying to pin you down. I mean, look at Far Cry 3 on the PC. I've been playing that, and I think that the AI on that has actually been, quite smart. I mean, it's not genius level, but it's not something that's beyond the capabilities of the programmers today. And if the horsepower on the new consoles allows you to have better AI, yeah, you're right. Giving them a higher armor level is just a cop-out. What you need is smart, adaptive AI that can basically counter your moves, but not to a certain degree that makes it, impossible to play. It's having that level of finesse to it that it's like, all right, well, when I have beaten this guy, it's not because he's got 60,000 armor points and I have to do a quick time mini game every 3 minutes. It's because I outthought him, I outfought him.
Yeah, that's exactly what I was saying, because that's what I was saying about some games I'm really excited about buying, and then when I put them in the machine, put it on the hardest difficulty, and I'm just like shooting incessantly, and then after a while that enemy doesn't actually become as hard, because you start being able to game the programming. He won't hide behind a wall of that height, or if I throw a grenade in that direction, he'll run 3 feet to the right of himself and run out into the open. I see so much of that because, as Luke knows, I'm a total addict. I play every game incessantly. I've got chronic insomnia, so I have to do something that kills my time. and I start literally analysing again like I'm looking into the Matrix, and it just immediately I can pull it apart, and that's when a game falls apart for me. Always the AI. I mean, everybody always hears me screwing about it. It's like that enemy's just stupid. Watch, if you do this, I'll spoil the games for other people because of that reason. I'm like, no, you don't have to worry about it. If you just do this, the enemy will run over there. Or you get the bosses as well. I mean, you mentioned something on Annoyed Gamer and a question that I sent in about end-of-level bosses as well. I want to see an end to them in the next generation because I always think that they ruin games now. It was good when it was Bowser at the end of Super Mario, but nowadays end-of-level bosses just really annoy me because they're just bullet sponges. And again, with the lack of intelligence, I think that's just got to go.
Uncharted
Completely
2,
got to go.
Uncharted 2, that always brings to mind Lazarevich, the game. Uncharted 2 moved at such a quick pace and it was so exciting. And then the end boss is an exercise in, well, he'll react if I go that way, he'll move if I go that way. And you shoot the blue plants, and then you've got to shoot them 10 million times. And that completely, when a game's that fast paced and moves such a clip, it breaks it apart. And for the end of the game to be like that, it can get frustrating.
Yeah. Hey, Mark, what do you think? Sorry, go on.
No, I was going to say, look, you're not wrong. And I mean, it's bizarre that we're now 20 odd years into what is, the biggest hobby on the planet. That, there was 60% of the world play video games, I think the figure is. And we are still talking about having issues with a trope that's been around for such a long time, a mechanism that hasn't really seen it in any evolution. I think that a judicious use of a boss in a level can be good. I mean, if you are at the final stage of a game and you want to, you to complete it, you have to go through the biggest obstacle yet. Absolutely, but there's nothing, that's when it works. But there's nothing more annoying than, okay, well, I've walked into this room, boom, all the exits have closed, and now I'm tackling this guy. What about, all right, if it's if you've been playing an open world game, why do all the exits have to close? Why doesn't it give you the option to sneak back through an exit and then evolve the boss into not just a sponge, but all of a sudden he's chasing you, and you can use environmental damage on him if you know your map level well enough to get back to a certain place, so you can climb up and down outside of buildings as opposed to trying to look for a ledge inside a big dome or something. Yeah. Where's that creativity? Because that would be interesting. It's like, oh crap, I know I'm going to be this guy's well more powerful than I am. I know there's only there's a couple of weapon drops around here somewhere, but I want to get him out into the open. I want to try and drag him out and fight on my terms.
Bring him out into the arena you've been playing the last 20 hours into. Because the one game that springs to my mind when you're saying that was the last boss in Infamous. That's the end of the first Infamous game. That's what reminded me of that. This whole city to run around in. And then I fell into this. There was 4 pillars out metal rods out the floor where you could charge up every now and again. There was a central column of a broken building. That was it. All I did is I just circle strafed. All that enjoyment of Infamous fell apart with just a circle strafe for the ending.
There meant to be these exciting conflicts, and it just becomes
tedious,
anticlimactic. But what you said about Mark, about the world being your arena, you bring to mind in Skyrim when you fight that first dragon boss, and when you have the whole world to use. Because what I always do, there's a dragon near Markarth, and I always attack the dragon and then lead him to a town. So then the soldiers who's in the town will help you fight against the dragon. So it becomes a fight you've architected, if you know what I mean. You've been the architect of how the fight goes instead of the game deciding how the fight goes.
Exactly. That is the prime point. I mean, it's being able to outthink, and if it's if with most of the bosses, like, they're so pissed that their characters will be so pissed that they've you've come this far, they will chase you, they will come after you. And I think just being able to everything's just doesn't have to be stacked against you to make it challenging. Just give people and give them different rewards for different ways of executing a boss. I mean,
here in Quest, I don't know. I thought he is off now, planning to go to that place to get that item. You might be a low level, but being able to intercept that boss when he's on his quest would be awesome. And then if he beats you because you're low level, you might go, oh, you'd be too much of a fool to think you can beat us, and then he walks off, and you think, oh, you train up, and then the next time you can intercept him again. But you deciding when is best to attack that boss instead of the game saying, right, all exits are closed, now fight.
Rather than the goal. Sorry, Marcus, carry on.
No, go on, please.
No, I was going to say, rather than following like in games like Fable, where you follow the golden breadcrumbs to the next waypoint as well. That's where my intelligence gets salted with games, waypoints. I've been living in this world for 40 hours. I know where to go. I wish there was a bit more of that in games as well, rather than, just keep walking east and eventually you'll get there. That as well. They need to check. They need to at least alter it. There's got to be accessibility for people that don't play all the time.
Yeah.
But there's got to be a way of sort of knocking off those hints as well. Not to lead me by the nose and assume this is the first game I've ever put in my machine as well.
Well, that's basically that's where people who code the games, people who create the games, have to take advantage of the options menu. I mean, you should be you can tailor difficulty, which generally involves you doing less damage and the bad guys doing more damage. But I'm a big fan of options in games, and I think unfortunately there are a certain amount of game developers out there who are so egotistical that they're making the games for themselves and not for other people. This is the game I want to make and I want to play, and I'm going to do this, and you're in my world, and that's the rules. And I think the best games, Skyrim is a prime example. GTA, Red Dead Redemption, they are great examples of this is the world, we've created it, go unleash havoc. Yes, you have a narrative story to go through, but there's all these other things you get to interact with and get off and be able to do with. And that to me is just the best part of gaming, wandering off in Skyrim. And it's like, all right, well, I know I'm not quite the right level yet to do this, but I'm going to go as close as I can to perhaps activate the fast travel point or, see if I can sneak up on a dragon and rob some loot from him or whatever, even though I know if he turns around, it's that thrill of the, being able to explore a world and play it on my terms, as opposed to, as you said, being led by the nose.
Definitely. Well, one point I wanted to bring up as well is because I've got this sneaky theory that we're definitely going to see the rise of free-to-play games on the next-gen console. We obviously know about microtransactions and what I call Dead Rip-Off 3 that came out recently with its Day 1 DLC. Can you see free-to-play really growing on the new consoles, or is it just something that's just going to be these MMOs like PC ports, or can you see AAA games being launched as free-to-play, being driven by the microtransactions?
I think that for free-to-play to succeed on the next generation of consoles, for that to happen, one, it's going to have to come initially from Microsoft and Sony and Nintendo, because they're the ones who charge a lot of money for evaluating the product, putting them through certification. You were basically at a loss before your product ships anyway. And I think that if they come with a business model for free to play, and maybe perhaps even include their own, push their own free to play games, then we can see it being probably successful. I don't think they will do that. I mean, Microsoft are very happy to charge and charge and charge and charge over and over again. Sony to a certain degree, Nintendo as well, unless they adapt their business model to say, yes, okay, you can put this out, and we're going to waive that initial, fee because we know it's not going to make a lot of money from the get-go, but then we're going to leverage, money on microtransactions. That'll be interesting, but I don't think it's going to happen, unfortunately. I don't think that. I mean, there are some great free-to-play games out there. Blacklight Retribution, Hawken, MechWarrior, just to name three.
I was going to ask, is Hawken coming out for the console? Because it looks amazing. It looks like Killzone crossed with like ridiculous over-the-top mech shooter. I mean, is it out for the console or is it PC only?
As far as I know, it's PC only. But it wouldn't surprise me if Hawken came out, but it would be a full-price game.
Mm. It looks awesome. It looks awesome.
Yeah, and I think that will be the way that you'll see stuff that's free to play on the PC come to the consoles, where there will be a charge, and that charge will include the basic game plus a starter ammo, an armor pack, and X amount of perks or whatever. That's the way they get to monetize from the get go and start turning a profit so they can survive. I mean, free to play, like I said, it's a great concept. it's just one of those things that, unfortunately, it does have this stigma. I mean, I played the Old Republic a lot,
Mm.
and then it went free to play, and honestly, I felt gypped by it when it went free to play. I mean, I'd actually bought the collector's edition, and I paid my subscription every month, and then we switched. It's like, oh, we switched to free to play now. Even though paid probably all told about $300-400 in subscription fees and copy of the game, you're now only going to have this version unless you pay up another X, Y, and Z. But we give you a founder's rank. I'm like, really? You're going to lock off half my characters, um, you know, space for him to store materials and stuff like that. After I've had this already and I've paid all this stuff, you think it would be a good idea for you to balance it right? But I think that's just an issue I have with EA. I think their microtransaction pricing in general across the board is ridiculous. Everything from the Old Republic to even their Facebook games like the SimCity Social, which I'm playing simply just to fill a gap before SimCity comes out, and the pricing's ridiculous. Or even the Simpsons Tap Me game that they have, the mobile app for the iPad and the iPhone.
Uh-huh.
The microtransaction price for one of the donuts in there is obscene. I'm not dropping $150 on a mobile game. What planet are you guys from? And then they wonder why nobody signs up for this stuff, or nobody continues playing it, because they stack it so much in their favor that you need to get this stuff. It's like, all right, I'm walking away. And that's the problem with a lot of free to play. They don't get it right from the get go. They don't balance it so that you should take a certain amount of fun and and have a certain amount of fun with it before investing more money. There should be an incentive, not a necessity, to invest more money.
Yeah, I agree with that. I mean, when I commented, I mean, I think everybody around he's commented on Dead Space 3 how much of a joke that was, putting it in the machine on day one. And again, I know you've covered that story, but it was quite hot news to me. It turned me off buying it. And you said vote with your wallets. That's what I did. Because when I saw the cost of things on there, I thought that was just a joke. And my mate Rich, who was playing it, he said, he goes, as much as they say it doesn't help with the game by buying it, it certainly helps by dropping a lot of money on that. It's almost like they've monetized cheat codes, is what EA seems to be moving towards, is the way I feel about it at times.
Well, I think Dead Space 3, I've rented it. I haven't bought it because of the way they've done things business-wise. I mean, you look at the online, and I think I went to one of the suit pods when I was playing it the other day, and there was no in-game pod suits there. Any suit I wanted to upgrade had to get from the store. And when you think you literally have to buy the progression of the game of the character, which I think is a bit silly, really, especially the cost of it. I mean, it's 400 points for a flipping suit on a game. I think it's a bit stupid. And
I think the phrase you're looking for is bloody daylight robbery.
Yes, it is. And EA as well. EA as well. Like, they don't help themselves. I don't understand why they can't see. They get negative feedback for the business they're doing, then they continue to do the bad business.
I can tell you exactly why that happens. It's because the companies like EA and Activision are run by people who, one, wouldn't know a game if it climbed into their pants and stuck its head up their ass.
Yes.
And two, don't actually give a shit about the actual products they produce. Now, I'm not talking about the dev teams.
Yes.
I'm sure the dev teams want to make the coolest possible games. I've never met a developer who said, well, I'm going to get out of bed today and I'm going to make a shit game that is riddled with microtransactions, because that's what it's all about. No, they want to make cool stuff. They want to win awards. They want great reviews. They want people to love their games. The problem is that you get these people who come into the companies and they say, oh, so what's your marketing background? Well, I was vice president at PepsiCo, and yes, we did this great crossover with Beyonce and McChicken Nuggets. And that's the people they hire. And these are the people who don't understand what it's like to be a gamer. These are the people who will never buy a game and play it and feel that level of frustration. The nearest they will come to the game is by going to a launch event so that they can drink a lot of free booze, wave their willy around while they're in a pod with the game on about 30 feet away. And unfortunately, the games industry, very much like the movie industry and the music industry, because it's got a lot more successful, is now permeated from head to toe with these useless toe rags.
But I do want to comment on that because last year's E3 there was two things that really got me that really annoyed us. One, it's not game related, but Microsoft spoiled Prometheus for people when it wasn't out in the US yet. And then another thing is you said about the people who don't know games. When you have, because you obviously, Marcus, you've seen both sides. You've been in the big stage events, haven't you, in E3 when you're in the seat and you're watching the reveal of this, for example, the Xbox. Have you ever been in those big seating areas where they have the live stream of the big presentations?
Oh yeah. No, I mean, I've been to a bunch of press conferences as a member of the media and as a PR guy whose games are up there on the on the big screen. So I've seen both sides.
Yeah, they have these people in the suits and they're on the stage with the suits and they're presenting this game and they don't know, like you say, what a game is. But then when you go to the show floor, when you have websites interviewing people who've made the game, the passion they have for the game on the show floor, there's no reason why those developers can't be on the stage sharing that passion with the masses, with more of an audience, because those show floor presentations are kind of always behind the scenes videos and after the main event. If they were the main event, having developers on stage presenting the game they spent 3 years making, it would be so much better, and it would build bridges between the audience and the games instead of having these suits on stage who look like the drugged at the eyeballs.
Sorry, Marcus.
Well, the problem you've got there is, and I'll give you this as a ex-PR guy, is media training. A lot of developers, I mean, not many people are comfortable getting up on a big stage and talking to 2,000 people in a room with another couple of million watching worldwide. Not everybody can, go out and do that live. That's a big deal. And a lot of developers don't really have that skill set, and you can media train them. But I think that there are ways and means to execute it. You're not wrong. I certainly don't want to see, I'm sick of seeing Reggie every friggin' press conference.
Robo Reggie.
I'm sick of seeing him waddle onto stage like this faithful hound that Nintendo America trot out, and he's almost like he's the fluffer for Iwata. He's like, so I'm here and I'm going to do this, and I'm Reggie, and Reggie's become almost a caricature like Kevin Butler.
He's become like Mario.
Well, I mean, he's probably a very, very nice guy.
Yes.
But he's just, again, it's more like I just want to pat him on the head and toss him a biscuit.
Yeah, what I meant by Mario comment is that he's like a mascot for Nintendo. He's like he's become the face of Nintendo, not. Do you know what I mean? It's like a brand. He's become the brand promoter.
One would say he's become an apologist for Nintendo.
Yes.
Yeah, I mean, I remember watching a very uncomfortable interview when he was on with Jeff Keighley, and he had the Wii there, and he was being asked very probing questions about the Wii way before its launch, and you could tell that he was so held back by PR. He just couldn't answer any questions on it, and he was sat there holding the unit. I remember that. I think it was a show that came just after the E3 when they announced it for the first time, should I say. You could kind of, like you said, he's just sent out there to just get the tomatoes thrown at him. Like, why have you put Reggie on stage again? You haven't given him enough information. And Nintendo in itself at the moment, anyway, they're falling short. With that Nintendo Direct they did the other day, like you said, this is going to be the year of Luigi. That's great. So basically we've got Mario in a new costume is all I was thinking. It's going to be the same games. Nintendo need to overhaul themselves as well at this moment in time.
What's it? They need to look. They all need to get their acts together with regards to communication. The world has changed from the days of launching a Super Nintendo, a PlayStation 1, or an X-Gen, an Xbox. They've even changed from launching a Wii, a PS3, and a 360. Social media, people have shorter attention spans, 140 characters, Facebooks, Vine, all this, Instagram, all that stuff. People want the information, they want it now. And a lot of these companies are just stuck in PR cycles from 6-7 years ago, where it's like, okay, well, we're going to do it at our own period, our own pace. And it's like, you know what? No, put that information out there so that people who are more informed can make these decisions and can get more validation. I mean, if you're going to hype your event and you're going to hype this, this audience up, and you do it well, and you give the information out, and you do the good interviews, the people will become believers and they will become advocates for you. They will carry on, and the word of mouth and the buzz will be out there. And I'm not talking about the one-eyed fanboys who believe that if you like Sony, then Nintendo shit, and if you like Microsoft, Sony shit, and so on and so forth. I'm talking about the ones who are actually passionate about all forms of gaming. Those are the ones who will be the advocates. And yeah, the media, we are fans of the games too. I mean, we do need to step away sometimes, and we do need to ask those probing questions. But if we are met with a degree of honesty and the information is made available to us, the fan inside us, because I've never met a games journalist who doesn't like playing games and doesn't like or doesn't care about what the future holds, that fan in us will, make us more open and, more interested in what companies have to say. And like I said, I'm not suggesting that, everybody bias with more information, but be more open, be more transparent, be more forthcoming, and stop holding everything back to, it's like, oh, right, so we're going to give you this piece of cheese today, and if you want the bread to go with it, you're going to have to come back in 3 months at E3. No, be ballsy, own it. Come out there all guns blazing. And yeah, if you want to save some stuff back, fine, but come with the key basic information and a couple of other tidbits you can, reveal in interviews to give people additional boosts, because that's going to drive interest in what you're promoting all the way to E3 and beyond.
It's like saying with a lot less bullshit in the promoting as well, especially when it came to Aliens. That game, like Luke said, felt very lied to until I put that game in my machine. That was the PR and all the press and everything we saw of that game was nothing like the finished product. Even with live streams that went out a couple of days before that game was launched, that was like somebody lied severely about what that game was going to be as the final product. And since then, as well, like you've mentioned it yourself on the Annoyed Gamer show, now you've got the developers and the publishers all pointing their fingers at each other, giving different stories about what exactly went wrong. And that's when as a gamer I feel hurt and a bit betrayed by that, because you want to invest your trust in some of these companies, and you do get burnt periodically, and you do remember that for quite a while. Like, I was a big fan of Gearbox, and now I've lost a little bit of faith with the fact that nobody can get the story straight about exactly what happened in the development cycle of Colonial Marines. And I don't know, hopefully we can see an end to that, but like you say, with the way the marketing and PR goes, I doubt that very much.
Well, I find it interesting that, some of the comments leveled at me after my show went live were that I was basically deflecting blame from Gearbox because I said, it sounds like Sega are the ones telling most of the fibs because they were the ones who were, countering Gearbox's stuff. Am I saying Gearbox are angels in this? No. But who's the publisher? It's not Gearbox, it's Sega. Who has been, signing the checks? It's Sega. Who is the bigger company, Gearbox or Sega? Mm-hmm. And again, I think it's Sega. Do I think that Gearbox have been whiter than white? Hell no. Do I think that they have contributed a fair amount to the misdirection and really quite culpable for the standard of the game? Absolutely. But at the end of the day, the buck stops with the publisher. The bucks always stop, so with Gearbox, the buck stops with Randy Pitchford because he's been the head guy and he's been the one shilling the game for weeks and months and years. But the buck does stop with the publisher, Sega, that they've basically been so negligent as to let this run rampant for such a long time, and then they've been out promoting it as something that they know is not going to be the final version. And then they don't say, all right, well, guess what? This is a big issue. Don't release the frigging game. Turn around and say, you know what, Gearbox, you haven't done what you've said. These are our lawyers. We're going to sue you because you haven't delivered what you've promised. That's what happens in a business environment. We're not releasing this. We are suing you for all the costs and blah, blah, blah. But no, Sega seem to be like, they seem like they've been really naive. And now they're caught in this shitstorm that is, partly of their own making. And it's ridiculous. I mean, again, I would love to have been a fly on the wall on the last couple of Aliens Colonial Marines meetings at Sega, because somebody there just let the ball slip. I don't know who was the producer or the head of development or whatever at Sega. That's where the buck stops.
Were the early videos we're seeing, were there demonstrations on PC or console? Was it like we were shown like Battlefield 3, the early videos were shown with PC, and then the consoles, they were less than that? But was the initial gameplay demonstrations, was it PC video or console footage?
Well, this is the thing. Some people are saying it was PC, and some people are saying it was Wii U, which I don't believe for a minute. I mean, the fact that the Wii U has just vanished now, the Wii U SKU is on hold. I don't think the Wii U can pull off that level of graphic fidelity, even in a vertical slice, especially when they develop most of these games on the PC anyway. So I would say that it's PC stuff that they showed, which makes it all the more damning as when I booted up that game on was it a week ago or so, and I saw the state of it, and I'm like, this isn't the game I saw at PAX. This isn't the game I've been seeing videos for over the last 6-8 months.
It is a shame. While I do enjoy what I've played to a certain degree, I would have, when I look at them videos, I kind of think, if only we were playing that. Because it just looks so more filmic and more atmospheric and immersive.
It hooked in the fanboy's dream, that's what it did. I've been playing it with die-hard Aliens fans. I mean, I was 7 when the film came out. And me and some of the guys I've been playing with, we wanted an Aliens experience. So we've been kind of like, we've tinted glasses.
Yeah.
This is an Aliens experience. I have a pulse rifle and I'm shooting aliens with my friends. That's why I've been a bit blinkered by it. But it's a bad game, but I will play it because I want that. But that's the whole point. With a franchise like Aliens, somebody should have taken that by the bull by the horns and gone, we need to make this absolutely fantastic, and then we can just start a whole new franchise off with it, where it seems like it's been passed around like a hot potato, and then it's been booted out the door. And another point I want to say as well, look, I mean, we were talking about it, the street date in the UK was a joke for that game. I'd finished it 3 days before the launch date.
Yeah,
because you could
sold early.
You could walk into a supermarket and pick it off the shelf. And our only now high street retailer in the UK, I told them, because people know I know some of the people that do a lot of the buying and regional managers there. I picked up the phone to him and said, I got Aliens in my hand. And he contacted Sega. He reached out to Sega, and he got no response back until a few days ago. And the response from people who shifted it out said, unfortunately, there's nothing we can do regarding supermarkets. Their till systems, apparently, don't highlight if a game is, under embargo for sale. It's not in the software on the tills at a certain supermarket. So therefore, they can't blame them because they can't expect them to have that type of software in place. That was the response he got, I debated it last week.
That just sums up Sega, doesn't it? I mean, it really does feel like Sega are... It's the blind leading the blind. And to see such a great company fall from such a great height. I mean, I've still got, I've got a Sega Mega Drive here, right next to a Super NES, which, and they're both sitting above the PS3 in my entertainment system. And for them to go from being, one of the big two to being the butt of every single joke in the game industry.
It's crazy, isn't it?
It's, honestly, sometimes I think I'd rather they go out of business, because the memory, it's like George Lucas. And it's like, I'd rather they didn't make Indiana Jones 4 so I could still enjoy those first 3 games. And it's beginning to be that every time I see that logo, I'm reminded of the great stuff, and, I feel a sense of hurt that the standards have dropped so much.
Yeah. I mean, what I wanted to do on one of our closing points, Marcus, is I wanted to discuss obviously the news that came out today about Destiny, and we were talking about a lot of false promises that go out in the gaming industry. Do you think with everything that Bungie have talked about what Destiny is going to be bringing over this 10-year epic game, do you think they're really going to deliver on it being backed by Activision? Do you think what we saw today is all true, or do you think it's a lot of fluff to build up for the next generation?
Well, I mean, what exactly did we see today? We saw some concept art. We saw some screenshots. We've been told that it's awesome.
Yeah.
We've been told that that people seeing people who played the game in focus testing were really happy.
Yeah.
So I mean that's interesting. I mean that's really getting me excited. And then of course we've got the pre-order pages that went live today as well. I think my good friend Adam Sessler summed it up so well when he said it felt like a corporate Kickstarter presentation.
Hmm.
And I think Bungie are an excellent studio with an excellent track record of doing games on doing the Halo games on the console. Um, do I think that they've shown us enough to warrant any excitement? A little excitement, maybe.
Mm.
Do I find it offensive that they've only announced PS3 and 360 and no PC? 100%. Do I worry about all these awards and social interactions and all that stuff you can unlock in the game? Yes, because do I feel that it's going to be a case of, again, that EA Frank Gibbo system of gaming that, yeah, I unlocked this and I unlocked that, but to do it, I had to, log onto Facebook, like something 53 times, then tweet about it while foursquaring and taking an Instagram of myself masturbating over the box art. Do I think that's going to come? Yes. Why? Because it's Activision, and Activision are in the business of making money, and Activision have two franchises, one of them being Call of Duty, the other one being Skylanders, and Skylanders is about to get buried by Disney Infinity. So, I mean, they want to make, obviously, a lot of money. I feel everything I've seen on Destiny has potential, but at the moment I'm feeling more disappointed than excited. Do I feel it? There's some interesting stuff there. It could be a PlanetSide 2. It could be Guild Wars, with guns. Could. But as of right now, what they've done is announced a game that's been in development for a very long time, was going to promise all these things, that is coming out at this moment on two systems that are 7 years old.
That is what's scary, is how long I can't believe how long this generation's lasted. It's 8 years for the Xbox this year, and 7 years for the Xbox this year. I think Xbox came out, did it Christmas 2005?
It came out. No, it came out in the spring, I think, didn't it?
Oh,
I think
Xbox
it was
was
spring.
yeah.
Xbox was I think it was a November launch, wasn't it? I'm sure it was. Some stuff I've been reading.
I was at Vivendi when the Xbox came out in 2005, and I honestly I remember pre-ordering one at the GameStop literally across the street from us. And I thought it was early in the year. Perhaps I'm wrong. I mean,
I can't remember. It's been long. 8 years. When I think back to that long ago, it's crazy.
But I think what they did, Destiny, they thought, you know what? Let's get out there before the PS4 announcement. Maybe we'll hear more on the PS4. Maybe they will have something that is like Destiny is also coming to PS4, and we'll see some footage. But they wanted to have their own exercise in corporate willy waving. I am actually more interested in what the X-Infinity Ward boys have to shout out about in the next coming weeks, because I think that's going to be interesting. But yeah, Destiny, again, it seems to me that especially coming after Alien Colonial Marines, it's been another exercise in smoke and mirrors. Leaves a bad taste in the mouth of the gamer, except again the most hardcore of fanboys. Also leaves a huge bad taste in the mouths of the press, who they took up to their offices in Seattle, I think it was, for a day and a half. A day and a half for PowerPoint presentations, some screenshots, and videos of other people playing the frigging game. Really want to give that up when, I'm supposed to be doing stories with everybody else, or I'm supposed to be reviewing games or whatever, or, I have staff that are going out to cover this. That to me is an exercise in ego that is just, running unchecked. I really hope that Bungie can pull something off. I hope that they can announce that there will be other SKUs. If they don't bring it to the PC, I will be woefully disappointed. But, given how I feel about Halo, perhaps, in that it's always, no matter how good the story is or how cool some of the art design is, I always feel that it's always bettered by a shooter on the PC, just because, that's just the way I am. I am a little biased, but I think for them not to bring a game like this, that's a persistent world with, dungeons and events and all that sort of stuff, whatever it's going to be, and not put that on the most powerful gaming platform on the planet, which is a PC, shows a woeful lack of ambition on Bungie's part, and I'm more than disappointed by that.
Cool. Right, I think we'll go for the last segment of the show. Luke, you've got some questions that people have sent in to us that you want to run across us all, haven't you?
Yeah, well, we'll have 2 questions, and I think they're pretty much won't be too challenging for us. The first question is from Flame Dragon, and it is: what is a game you can go back to once a year and still enjoy?
All right. Well, for me, it's easy. It's Dungeon Keeper 2.
Yeah.
I do go back to that every year. I went and reinstalled it on my new PC, and the discs were scratched, so I went to Good Old Games and bought it. There's that one, and there's a couple of others I can go back to. I mean, Championship Manager or Football Manager every year. That's something I get every year iterations of. But I think Dungeon Keeper is the one I just keep on going back to, even though I've replayed the levels so many times. There is something so great about that game that it hooks me back in, and I just love going back to it.
Dave, what about you?
I don't know. The main one for me, if I'm going back to PC games, the Half-Life games. I just love those games. There's something about the appeal and the way the story plays out and the atmosphere that I get from those. Those are games that I can go back to annually and have a look at. And obviously, I'm still praying for the Half-Life 3, but I can still do with Half-Life 1 and 2 and episodes 1 and 2. I'm just praying that we get a bit more out of that, but I don't know. But yeah, that'd be my pick.
My pick is without doubt. My random one is Castlevania: Lord of the Shadow by Mercury Steam. I can't get enough of it. I just don't understand why. What about the game? To me, is just I just love it. It's set in the right period of fantasy, like medieval, and the story. So it's a long game. It's an exciting game, and I love the music as well. The music in that game is amazing.
Cool.
And the next question we have from Mr. @Terminus Halo, and he says, what games are you looking forward to this year?
Oh, well, there are a few. Obviously, BioShock Infinite, GTA. We're looking forward to see how they're going to take that. Let me see. I'm actually really looking forward to Lego City Undercover, because I'm a kind of sucker for the Lego games, and the last couple have kind of disappointed me, where they haven't really expanded on the gameplay or as much. I mean, yeah, they've added co-op and much bigger players and all that stuff and divergent storylines, but I really think that Lego City Undercover on the Wii U might actually be something that's going to shift that system in the first half of this year. So there's that one. I mean, this is actually my problem. I mean, I get so many emails saying, oh, we got this game, we got this game, we got this game. I mean, it's much easier for me to tell you what's coming out in the next couple of months and tell you how much I'm looking forward to playing those, because my brain at this age cannot compute anything from September.
Yeah, I'd say with my games this year, I mean, obviously, like you say, the BioShock and the GTA 5. The one game that I've been getting a bit of interest in is that game Defiance that's due out quite soon. The one that ties in with the TV series that launches in April. I'm not sure, it seems like a bit of an out there choice, but there doesn't seem to be much talk about it. I haven't been able to find much talk about it, but the concept interests me, that we have this evolving TV storyline that will affect the storylines in this open world MMO third-person shooter on the current generation as well. I just like the idea of that because it's something different. I think that's what's attracting me to it. I'm looking forward to that one.
It's a very interesting concept. I sat down and looked at it at E3 last year, and I think the biggest issue I had at the time was that it looked dated with regards to the game engine. Now, I mean, again, that was E3 last year, and I haven't seen anything of it since. But yeah, I do like that idea. So I think that is actually a cool choice.
Yeah, cool. My games this year, I think, be Last of Us by Naughty Dog. I think this is the culmination of what they've learned with Uncharted this generation. I mean, the game it's been delayed, which I'm not too worried about because June is always a quiet time of the year, so that's a good thing for that. But the game for me,
it's quite a time of year, but it's only E3 if you know that
indeed.
launch. Yeah.
and then I've got because the game looks amazing. The voice acting as ever with Naughty Dog is going to be top notch, and I'm looking forward to seeing the story. And another game which because I'm completely invested in the story and I love the first one, Lords of Shadow 2. I cannot wait. It's getting ridiculous.
Very excited about that one. I've never played the first one. In fact, I played the demo of it, got absolutely enraged by some of the mechanics, and never went back to it, to be honest.
You should
And I know
go back.
we've argued about this, so I'm not going to change my mind. I know what I like. But yeah, I'll wrap the show up with that. I'd like to thank everybody for listening. Luke, do you want to tell anybody who's listening to us out there how to follow everybody that's
Yes,
in here
indeed.
right now?
YouTube page, if you search for Britcast 007 on YouTube is our YouTube page. Our Twitter page is simply @Britcast. You've got my Twitter is UGamers. Dave's is @RemedyLive. And Marcus's is @AnnoyedGamer. Follow us all, tweet us all. Like, comment, share, and subscribe. And thanks for listening. And also, thank you very much, Mr. Marcus B, for joining.
Yeah,
Thank you for having me on. And I haven't even commented on Sunderland buying Danny Graham from the Swans for.
I'm not even a football fan, Mr. B, so I don't give a crap. To put it bluntly, I couldn't give a monkeys.
This involves field sports, that's why, Luke. You don't really take your flat cap off that much, that's why.
Indeed, I'm more of a rugby man.
But Marcus, let me say again, thank you very much for coming on this show, and I hope to speak to you again in the future.
Yeah, thank you for having me. It's always look. I got to say, it's always an honor to have somebody think that the garbage I have to say is that interesting that they want me on a podcast. But it's if you're that crazy, more power to you.
No, I've been a fan of Game Trailers for almost 5 years now. It's been awesome watching you, and it's even better to be able to speak to you.
Thank you.
Right then, goodbye everybody. See you later.
Bye bye.